everybody. If you're able to rise, please do so at this time for a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so as we begin our first meeting of the new year, Happy New Year, everybody, and we will start with our presentation of our December Employee of the Month, which is Megan Johnson. At this time, Mr. Singh has returned the floor over to you. He wasn't ready.
You hear me, right? Okay. It's working. There, Congratulations to Megan Johnson, Director of Technology, on being named Scotia-Glenville Central School District Tartan Employee of the Month for December 2025. Megan has been recognized by the Board of Education for her extraordinary dedication, often working around the clock to address and/or resolve technology issues across the district. Her tireless efforts in implementing school tool and providing comprehensive training to teachers and staff have been instrumental in ensuring our digital systems run smoothly. Thank you, Megan, for everything you do.
The first hearing of privilege of the floor. Remind everybody that the privilege in hearing is to address the Board of Education. The first session is for 30 minutes, and each person has 5 minutes to speak. If you approach the podium, just state your name and your address, please.
Hello, my name is Catherine Jones. I live at 16 Maryland Drive in Glenville, New York. As we quickly approach the date to make the final decision on which school to close, there are a lot of questions and concerns that are gaining momentum in the community. I emailed you all earlier a few of my questions, and I appreciate the quick reply. One of the things I mentioned was that it's important to get a quote on fencing for every school that we have at this point that's not fully enclosed. It was mentioned that maybe we will address that after we name the school that's going to close, but I don't see that as being responsible. That could be a $50,000, possibly even up to a $200,000 cost, and that's something that we should look at now and factor into the decision. But that's not exactly why I'm here to speak tonight. I'd like to start by speaking about the reimagining our school committees. Having the community be included in decisions that impact us all, such as which school to close, is important, and it's something that we've advocated for very strongly over the last year. And we appreciate being asked to sit at the table when these conversations are being held. Our voices matter, and we provide valuable insight. However, we also bring our emotions, our anxieties, and our personal agendas to these table talk discussions. That's human nature, and it's to be expected because this is an emotional topic. So these group chats are nice, but they do not replace the facts, the data, the research, the expertise, and the professional judgment that is required to make a decision of this magnitude. If the district thinks that it is a privilege that this decision has been largely put into the hands of these 70 community members, or has been rested on the shoulders of the 7 Board of Education members, it is not a privilege, it is a dishonor. Because what we need now, more than any time before in this district, is someone to stand up and confidently, in front of every single committee, in front of every Board of Education meeting every single week, and in front of every single one of the constituents of this district, and say, based on my 20 years of being a superintendent, this is exactly what I think we should be doing, and this is why. We're not asking for a dictatorship, someone who's just going to tell us what to do, but we do want a leader. There have been many strong voices heard during this process and many strong opinions voiced. But the one person that's being silent to share her opinion is you, Superintendent Schwartz. The only opinion that we consistently hear from you is that you never wanted to close a school. And that's why we haven't explored it until this level now. And I understand the sentiment behind that phrase. I understand the heart that goes into that. And I believe that you have the best interest of our district in your heart. And I'm grateful for the Board of Ed members and for the community that partakes in these discussions. But none of us have the education, the background, the experience that you do as the superintendent. And we are all waiting to hear exactly what your vision is for this district. How are we going to close the $2 million gap that still exists after we close a school? More staff cuts? That was our only option last year. Or higher taxes? What is the plan behind the preschool idea to generate revenue? It's a good idea, but is it an idea or is it a plan? How are we keeping this district afloat? We need to know your ideas, your solutions, and your innovations, and we need to know what they are for the next 3 weeks, 3 months, 1 year, 3 years. We deserve that. We want somebody to stand up and say, stand beside me. I am the strongest leader. That's why I'm the one in charge. That's why I am most equipped to figure this out. So follow me, hear what I say, and trust me. And we have yet to hear anything of the sort. I'm going to say this next statement with no disrespect, and I mean that honestly. This is a fact. Superintendent Schwartz, you earn approximately $230,000 per year, plus benefits and bonuses. The Board of Education members are volunteers. The people showing up at the committee members are volunteers. They are paying out of their pocket for babysitters. You cannot continue to say that you never wanted to close a school. Leadership requires ownership. It requires standing up repeatedly and saying, here's what I believe we should do. Here's why. Here are the alternatives. Here's the risks that I have calculated. And here is the best path forward. That is what your salary and your title requires of you. More importantly, your title is a privilege entrusted to you by this community. And with that privilege comes the obligation to lead, to decide, and to stand proudly and publicly behind those decisions. And I hope you will consider doing this in the future. Thank you.
Good evening. Happy New Year. Jason McCoy, 1011 Cherokee Road. I have a second grader at Glen Warden, and I was on the district's communications work group for reimagining our schools. But good news, I am not here to talk about school closings. Right up front. Instead, I'm here to offer an idea to the Board of Education that I'll hope you consider about how the district could improve or maybe even reimagine its school communications. See what I did there? So here's my idea for the board to consider. Use the money the district pays BOCES to have someone here for just 2 days a week and use it to hire your own full-time communications person. I want to be clear, I am not criticizing the district's communications specialist. I am criticizing the idea of spending about the same amount of money on someone who is here 2 days versus someone who is here every day, 5 days a week, working on improving our school communications. It's something that comes up all the time, school communications, community, board, hear it all the time. I believe Scotia-Glenville pays BOCES for 2 days of communication service, if I'm correct. And according to BOCES' website, that's $84,000 this year. 2 days a week, $84,000. Now, the district gets some BOCES aid on that, which lowers the direct cost to the district some, but I'd argue that's still state taxpayer dollars, that BOCES aid that we are all paying, so it's not free money. Isn't it worth considering if that money the $84,000 could be spent on hiring your own full-time communications person? This is exactly what Greenville Central Schools did about 5 years ago. The new superintendent at the time, a wonderful leader named Mike Bennett, called me because he had an idea to hire a full-time communications person and wanted advice on the qualities that would be important for the hiring process. Mike and I had worked together in Skodak for 10 years, and he knew the impact a robust communications presence could have for a district. Mike ended up hiring a young woman with just a little communications experience, not a lot of experience, but a great understanding of social media and a positive, outgoing attitude. From the get-go, she has done an incredible job. I've been doing school communications for 20 years. I think she does a better job than me sometimes. I encourage you to follow Greenville on Facebook or Instagram. You'll absolutely love the positivity and school support she creates every day. Honestly, check out the neighboring districts as well. Just imagine if Scotia-Glenville had such active social media accounts as the ones around us, posting almost daily. Our students, faculty, and staff deserve the same recognition. Again, I'm not criticizing the district's communication specialists. I did the same job for a dozen years, working for a BOCES and split between two districts. As great as a job as you try to do, when you're working 2 days for a district, it's just not your priority. We need someone here every day whose priority is Scotia-Glenville and sharing the great things going on in our schools and improving communications with family, faculty, and staff and building community support for our schools. Look at tonight's employee recognition. I'll just use that as an example. It's a wonderful idea. I believe that was a board idea. But why has it never made the district's Facebook or Instagram accounts, where our families would just love to, the community would love to say, yes, they're doing a great job, we appreciate it. If you hire your own communications person, things like that don't slip through the cracks. If the board is interested in the idea, I should note that you'd have to make the change with BOCES fairly soon, as I think BOCES requires districts to lock into their commitments for next year fairly soon. But if Scotia-Glenville really is about reimagining, then we should look at ways to do things differently, not simply how we've always done. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Amy Marlette. I live at 506 Mohawk Avenue. What's the plan? That's the question. You told us that it's going to be equitable. You told us that 3K through 5 buildings are going to be equitable. What's the plan in 47 days? That's how long it took you last time to come up with a plan. We need to demand a plan now. Equity for next year and equity for the next 5 years. And what does that plan look like? And do we have the right leadership structure in place for that equity? How are we going to retain our employees so they don't leave during this major change? What's the making plans? We're not communicating. We're not having transparency. When we don't communicate, we build distrust in the community. I think the community has shown they don't trust you. What's the plan? And by what's the plan, when is someone standing at this podium saying this is what it's going to look like? This is what next year looks like, this is what the year after looks like, and that this is what the year after that looks like. Barring a pandemic, which we can all assume is not going to happen again too soon, about once every 100 years, that's not going to happen. There's a way to plan for this, but those classrooms better be equitable. It's not fair to have 12 kids in a 4th grade classroom and 23 in another. That's not the same education. I don't care who you are. So what's the plan? Equity. You spend $150,000 on DEI training. Use it. Thanks.
I'm Karen Bradley. I live at 204 Run Street, Scotia. And first, I would like to thank the administration and the board for the opportunity to be able to serve on the Reimagining Committee. I was on the grade level configuration, which was a fantastic experience with some really dynamic community members and leadership from Rick and John Giannetti. Since our last meeting and learning what was going to be the decision, it's kind of been crickets out there. people are concerned. We hear in one local news channel that now the decision on what school will close is now like March. What is very concerning, if you were part of the process and the sharing amongst the committees, is that there is a tremendous amount of work that will need to happen. Our children, enough time has gone on. Kids are now talking about it and concerned. Our families, our parents, our teachers knowing. And we know this is going to happen. It needs to be done right. The longer you delay on making that decision, the less time to do it right. People need to gather around. We know we have a tough budget scenario coming up. Work needs to get going on that, but we need to bring our community together and work together. There's so much that needs to be done, and the longer this goes on, the more difficult it's going to be for everyone involved. I would like to thank Mr. McCord. Communication, never at any time has communication been more important and will be even more important as we go down this new path and begin a new chapter of education in Scotia-Glenville. That is just crucial, that we have excellent communication every step of the way. Committee members on the various committees are wondering, where do they stand? What comes next? We are aware of the January 22nd community meeting, and I would expect at that point, you have your information, you've got the data, you've had the data for a long time, and a decision needs to be made for the sake of our children, the families, the teachers and staff that serve this district. Please, I urge you to think hard about that, and hopefully, I'm looking forward to the 22nd. And again, I do thank you for the opportunity to be able to have served in the effort. Thank you.
This time I'll close the first hearing. Privilege of the floor. Remind everybody we do have one towards the end of the meeting. And at this time I'll turn the meeting over to Superintendent Schwartz.
Then Mr. J. Quinto is going to join me. I'll share. The board had requested some additional information that Drew and his team have put together, and he's going to walk us through.
So to rehash over what we went over a couple weeks ago, these are the parameters as they exist in the State Education Department as compared to what actually Scotia-Glenville operates under. You can see the secondary level, state ed says you must transport above 3 miles, and then elementary school you must transport over 2 miles. Scotia does 2 miles and 1 mile, so we what they call over transport according to state ed, but those are our guidelines. And then again, to confirm what I said last time, we do not transport every kindergartner. Sacandaga has a special walking zone, as you can see there, for that section of Mohawk Avenue, and I think there is, last time I spoke with Claire, there was 5 students in that area that we actually transport in a walking zone. Any questions on this slide? Okay. And again, this is the current layout. The only change is we got some updated figures over the break that we worked on the cost per mile. Everything else stayed the same, and you can see that amongst the 4 elementary schools, you can see the number of riders, the walkers, the number of bus routes, bus stops, and the annual miles that we transport an elementary school student. And you can see that the net cost after aid is $129,163. We cannot assume that people that pick up their kids that can ride the bus, they're in there. If you can ride the bus, you're in these numbers right now. Any questions on this slide? So this is the current as we look today in our elementary schools. First scenario, if Glen Warden closes, we had run these numbers, and you can see that everybody at Glen Warden, there's no walking zone there, so everybody's transported. Excuse me. You can see that the net cost will be $135,000, or about $6,000 more than the current configuration of the elementary schools. Questions on this one? So that's the same slide as last time. Okay. If Lincoln closes, then the walkers have to ride. It's 98, I believe, or excuse me, that was, how many for Lincoln? Lincoln walkers would have to ride up to, we put them into 2 schools. You can see the net cost then goes to $148,497. So it's about $19,000 more. Again, it's money, but when you're looking at close to $2.9 million gap, it's not going to move the needle on transportation. The more concern is the length of time that students will be on the bus, the number of bus stops, and the ability to use this configuration to service more out-of-district students that we may have to contract out at this time. Any questions on if Lincoln closes? Okay, thank you. If Glendale closes, which is the furthest school out to the west, again, there's no walkers there. So you can see the cost there is $138,802. Again, about $9,600 more. Again, I have the assumptions working with Clara on how many stops and who goes where. And again, to preface that, once we get a school that we're actually going to pivot to, we will have to look at boundaries and everything else. There's a lot of work that's going to go in. This is the best look we can give now with some assumptions to give you an idea that transportation isn't going to move the financial needle as much as, of course, staffing does, but there will be the impact on students' time on the bus, which we're really concerned with as we go forward. Questions? Okay. Sacandaga, which is our biggest elementary school, which I just put it in here, Claire and I, just to capture everything. So you can see again, 136 there, and that would assume that that would take those 300 and something kids. They have to go to 3 schools, I believe. So that'd be a monumental task at that point. So again, overall, you don't see much of the needle moving, depending on what we do on the transportation side as far as dollars, the economic impact.
How can we get data on how long people will be on the bus?
You want to speak to that, Claire?
Folks, if we have any further questions, we can wait to the end of the meeting in our second hearing to the floor. We'll leave an email as well, so we can get that taken care of. Thanks, guys. Appreciate everything.
Okay. Yeah. This is the overall that's been presented a couple times based on last year, during the last year's budget at the end. Showed the direct costs, not including special ed at elementary schools, I've also incorporated the cost of utilities and transportation costs. So you can see the direct operational cost of our elementary schools. And as I've said before, Glendale, Glenwarden, Lincoln are pretty much in the same financial ballpark. Sac-and-Dog is the outlier. It's our biggest elementary school, most highly populated with enrollment. So those are direct costs. And I've also said that if you do decommission a school, your utility costs will probably go down 50% because you still got to maintain heat at a certain, like 55, so the pipes don't freeze. You got to run certain lights for emergency and electricity to your boilers and that sort of thing. So you're not going to get a lot of utility savings because it doesn't cost us a lot per square foot because of the efficiencies in these schools. And again, transportation costs, you're getting basically 74 cents back on the dollar on aid for that too. So there's your direct cost. This does not include special programs because they got to live somewhere no matter what school is closed. And as I've said to the board last spring, and again, last board meeting, I did a little outline. The budget process will start, and the board will have a first internal draft or carry forward draft mid-February probably. And at that point, I'll have the tax cap, the state aid numbers, and retirements up to that point. Without those, going through the process, I can give you a very educated, going through numbers, about 2.9 gap right now. But as I said, that could change based on state aid, retirements, and the tax cap will tell you how much you have room above or above that. I don't know that until early February. But the gap a year ago was said to be 2.7. I think I said 2.9 2 weeks ago. I believe we could be in that range when I present to you. But again, things could change. I don't know what the governor's coming up with, but the state does have a $7 billion deficit. They're having trouble getting money out of the federal government, so I don't expect a windfall at the state level. The last couple years, we were flat on state aid, but got a hold harmless at the CPI, which is about $500,000 in foundation aid. I don't make these decisions at the government level. Those are the things I'm giving you in my numbers when I say 2.9. I'm assuming we'll get something from foundation aid if she holds harmless, because it is an election year, but I could be wrong. So this chart here is something I've given you a couple times now. It's a good snapshot at your elementary schools direct cost. Any questions on that? Yeah. Yes, as I said earlier, we got updated numbers over the break from the state. Those are based on all prior year numbers. We got new numbers. Our miles have changed, and so it's a more updated number. As I've told you, it's a work in progress. I want to give you the most updated.
Does the 357 include salaries of the drivers?
Yep.
We can safely assume that the less miles there are, the shorter the bus routes will be. I mean, that's a common thought.
But we go out of district, Mike, for a lot of runs too. You'll see that when you get your first budget transportation packet this year. We outline out of district runs, in district runs. So you'll see that there's never a dramatic shift in the totality, except for when we have a couple of years ago we were going to Massachusetts every day for a program. So. A good, Clem, for the Glendale? You all good with what I gave you? Sac-and-Dog or Glendale? Any other questions? If you have any other questions, send them to Susan. I'll be glad to answer them after the meeting. Thank you.
Question?
We'll make sure to miss anything. No, that's it.
Thanks, Carney.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to our reports and updates. Legislative. Kim Furnish?
The State of the State is taking place this week. The governor has told us some of the things she's going to be talking about, and one that is in relation to us is making pre-K truly universal statewide, as she said, starting with the 2028-2029 year. It's going to be dealing with a lot of childcare and early childcare education issues. And she wants to have a new state office of childcare and early education to support these proposals. I do think it's important to note, though, that almost at the same time, we have the federal government saying that 5 states, including New York, is going to be losing federal funding. So I'm not exactly sure how those two will mesh, to be honest with you. But it's 2 things to keep an eye on, especially as Congress is going to be working on their budget, which will include public school information, and they have to submit it by January 30th. Another thing I thought was interesting was that the EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, has halted the remaining funds for EV buses in the program. He said he believes there's wasteful spending, so they've stopped that program, which could affect us with respect to what we may or may not need to do here, and maybe it'll affect the state as well, making some different decisions with respect to EV buses. Correlating that with the bankruptcy of one of the major supplier of EV buses with Lion Electric, the districts that have buses in place are already having extreme problems getting the buses and the equipment or the pieces to use for the buses. So I think we're going to see a lot of changes upcoming with respect to EV bus requirements for us. That's it.
Thank you, Kim. Chad, PTA Council?
Yeah, PTA time. What we got coming up tomorrow, the 13th, Glen Warden will be having their monthly meeting, 6 p.m. in the LMC. Also, tomorrow evening at 6 p.m., the high school PTSA will be meeting at room B2. Then on the 16th, SAC will be having their PTA meeting. Additionally, for SAC, Fabulous Fridays has moved. The new dates will be February 27th, March 6th, and March 20th. They're still in need of volunteers. See their Facebook. I believe they have a Google form up to sign up. PTA Council will meet on the 21st at SAC at 6 p.m. in the LMC. The 30th of this month, Glendale will be having their glow party at 6 p.m. And Glen Warden or Parent Volunteers Fridays. You can find that on their Facebook page. I put it up on mine as well. I know they still need people to assist with classes and also running classes. I just want to shout out to the middle school PTA. The back to school, they filled the teachers lounge. It was awesome. Great to see that. Another heads up, the PTSA yearbook ads are due by February 4th. You can see more on their Facebook for that as well. And then Founders Day is wrapped up, so I anticipate seeing the awardees coming up in the next few weeks, as long as the ticket sales as well. So keep your eyes posted for that. And that's all I got.
Beautiful, thank you. Moving on to Audit Committee, nothing to report right now. We've got our risk assessment in a couple of months, and then we'll plan to audit meeting towards the end of the year. Board of Education Policy Committee.
Talk about diligence. Thank you, Mike. Kathy, Megan, and I met with what used to be called Board Docs, is now called Diligent Community. It's a service that's available through BOCES, through Erie One, which requires a cross-contract. I think I can say, looking at Kathy's smile, she thinks this is the way to go. There is a policy piece to that, but certainly initially in the rollout, we would be looking at what we could do in terms of board meetings and information and posting it in ways that the demo certainly looks much more easy to follow and communicate. So we're awaiting 2 price quotes from them, one including the policy piece and one without the policy piece, and it's a multi-month rollout. So we would look at, if we go with them, starting this spring to make a conversion, but probably not really being where we need to be till July. Is that fair, Kath? In terms of board?
The latest.
At the latest. As I say, folks were quite impressed. So again, thanks to Mr. Torelli for bringing that forward, and I'll be speaking with the business official about the cost.
And then the rework that we were supposed to do for 1500 should be in addendum, or in policy number 1500R, which is the specs and regulations on how the time management should be done. So we have to address that as a whole new policy.
Okay, all right, good, thank you. Michael?
In the high school senior civics class has been conducting their personal care item drive since before break, and they continue to conduct it. They've seen good success. Proceeds are going to city mission, I believe. And I actually don't know if that's an annual project, but projects like that always make me excited as part of course curriculum. Other than that, nothing much else coming off of winter break, or holiday break, I should say.
All right, good, thank you, sir. Board of Education goals.
At least on the communications goal, I'd really like to be able to start dialogue with Julia and include everyone in it, obviously, about how some of the ideas, especially the graphics post-meeting, I got a couple ideas on that, but I'd like to start that dialogue so we can hopefully get that rolling maybe spring. I feel really good. I've played with a few things. I think it's something we could do efficiently, not a lot of work, but something that's accurate and put out in a timely manner without not a lot of manpower. So if that's okay with everyone, I'd love to start that email thread and get that rolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then that's at least where I'm at on that end of communications. How about everybody else?
Perfect, thank you. The other goal was the budget timeline. Is that working with Julia as well, or Kathy?
No, Kathy's
Sorry.
actually
And Drew?
got that together and has passed it on to the business office for review.
Great.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. And then budget, I know Drew mentioned,
I have
sorry.
one more thing. Michael, with the student portion of it, do you have anything on there to get rolling about what we dropped in?
I can't say I have anything for the board right now.
Okay, we can go back and forth if
Please.
you want to on that. Great.
Thank you. All right, budget, I know Drew, you had mentioned when we were up there before that we'll have our first budget in mid-February?
Yep, middle of February.
Okay. All right, perfect, thank you. All right, moving on. If I can get a motion and a second, please, for item number 7, the non-resident student tuition rates 25-26.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the non-resident student tuition rates for 2025-2026.
Thanks, Chad. And a second, please? Okay, thank you, everybody. All right, any questions or comments on this one?
These are rates that are set by the state education department, right? So really, we don't have a choice in the matter.
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure.
If we only could. All right, if no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone oppose or abstain? So moved. If I can get a motion and a second, please, for resolutions, we can do 8 and 9 together, to withdraw and amend school tax rolls 25, as well as withdraw and amend school tax rolls 23, 24, 25.
A motion.
I'll move resolutions 8 and 9 for the withdrawal and amending school tax rules as submitted.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments on this? If not, all in favor? Aye. Anyone oppose or abstain? So moved. I got a motion and a second, please. Item number 10, to approve an MOA between Scotia-Glenville School Districts and the SGTA, please. Excuse me.
I'll make a motion to approve a MOA by and between the Scotia-Glenville Central School District and Scotia-Glenville Teachers Association as submitted.
Thank you. In a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions or comments on this?
I have some questions about this. Can we have an explanation as to what was the class size before versus what she's taking on now, and what's going to be happening that all of this is needed with the MOA?
The two classes have been collapsed, the DS1 and DS2. I believe Anthony had to seek a variance from the State Education Department because we're outside the 3-year range for classes. So Ms. Hack-Love is planning for both of those classes, but now all of the children are together. But it is 2 different grade levels. It's a K2 and then a 3-5. So she's providing that overarching planning and support and all of the things special ed people do, IEP development, planning for meetings, those kinds of things. And then supporting the teaching assistants who, for about the 90 minutes when they are, total 90 minutes when they are supervising students, that she's providing the work that they then do with students. So she has, for all intents and purposes, assumed another classroom of students.
And how much is that from how many students she had last semester to now? How many students she has now?
It's 2 additional students now.
And how many did she have originally?
I'd have to double check, Kim, but I want to say that program started at 5 or 6. But I want to double check that number.
I've got a question as well. So the compensation is great. It sounds like Julie has a handle on what she's doing. What are we going to be doing to support her? Because just one of those classrooms is a tremendous load, let alone merging 2. And with IEP review season coming up here, I'm just concerned that as a community member, it stated a couple weeks ago that we've been through quite a few of those teachers. And those are, to me, elite educators that you just don't find every day. So what are we doing at the admin level or above that we're going to be supporting her to prevent any kind of burnout, and also the paras and everyone in there, because that's going to be a heck of a load. It just concerns me, we've been through so many in that room, that we would lose somebody again.
Understandable. Your concern is understandable. This is a part of how we're doing that, is to make sure she's being recognized for the additional work and planning that she's putting forth. I know that Anthony has been meeting with her pretty regularly, and Andrea is in and out of the classroom. I can certainly take your concerns back to PPS and see what else they have in the pipeline.
Yeah, I'm just, like I said, very concerned that that's an elite level educator, and to lose a 5th in less years than that would be a big detriment to those kiddos.
Absolutely.
And this is for a finite period of time. We're
Correct.
not expecting or wanting to go into this next year.
No, we would hope that we either had enough students for both classrooms and that we had the 2 teachers we needed.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I can't maybe wanted to speak, I'm not sure.
No, I was just saying aye.
Oh.
Okay. Anyone opposed or abstain? All right, so moved. If I get a motion and a second, please, if the board chooses, we can move resolutions 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, if you'd like to.
I'll move to accept the resolutions to accept a donation to be applied to the Principal Nicholas J. Cursone Memorial Scholarship from Glen Warden PTA, to approve the donation of $250 from Thomas and Elaine Nice to be applied to the Patsy Benny Scholarship Fund, to accept the donation of $250 from the Scotia-Glenville Alumni Association to be applied to the Scotia-Glenville Alumni Scholarship, to accept the donation of $100 from John and Christina Madden to be applied to the Francis Siniglia Memorial Scholarship, and to accept the change in name from the West Glenville Volunteer Fire Department Scholarship to the West Glenville Volunteer Fire Company Walt Hayner Memorial Scholarship, all as submitted and with thanks.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments on any of those?
I just want to say thanks to everyone who's given, and especially for Nick Criscone's scholarship. They continue to roll into the Glenwarden PTA. It's a testament to the type of administrator he was and the type of human being. So thank you to everyone.
Absolutely. Nothing else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? So moved. If I get a motion and a second, please, to approve item number 16.
I'd like to make a motion to approve revised Board of Education policy for first reading, number 5152.2, education of homeless children, identification of homeless students.
Thank you. And the second, please.
Second.
Thanks, everybody. Any questions or comments on this one? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? So moved. Motion on communication, please. Report of superintendent.
A through G, tenure of Cynthia Nash, Patient Scully, and submitted.
Oh, I couldn't hear that. What are we going to do?
I couldn't hear either. Unfortunately, there's a lot of background noise.
I'll move communications.
I'll move communications A through G of the tenure of Cynthia Nash and Patient Scully.
And tenure.
And tenure?
Communication
Tenure.
Okay.
Yeah. The communications and tenure.
All right, so communications A through G, 18A, 1 and 2, correct? Correct, okay.
Motion.
Gotcha. All right, and a second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments on this? All right, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? So moved. All right, so if we need to get a motion on 18B, 1 through 8, then, right?
And staffing.
Staffing, correct.
On placement of children with disabilities.
Correct.
I'll motion to move 18B, 1 through 8, and placement of children with disabilities.
Kim, thank you. And a second, please.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. Questions, comments?
For me personally, there are some that I am for and some that I am against. So I'm not sure if we want to keep it as such, and I can vote how I choose to vote, or we can divide it up.
I'll keep us to take one at a time.
Okay. All right, so then the ones that we would like to separate, Kim, for you, would be,
1 through 3.
others have that feeling?
What was the question, I'm sorry?
Kim had suggested B, 1, 2, and 3. She would like to separate you individually, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, all right, so then we will now ask for a motion for 18B, number 1.
I'll motion to move 18B, number 1.
All right, thanks, Kim. And a second, please.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. Questions or comments on this?
Yes, I would like to request a roll call vote, please.
She wants a roll call vote.
Okay. Which is fine.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, which is fine. All right. Carnjet, on item number 1.
Yes.
18B1. Okay, yes, yes. Mike?
Can I abstain?
Absolutely. Mike abstains. I'm a yes. Kimmy?
Yes.
KBF?
Drew, I want you to know that I appreciate all you've done, and this is something that I've been thinking about for a very long time. I totally understand if you don't believe me on this, but my vote is not a reflection on you as a person. My concern is that we had a contract in place. I feel like this addendum goes well past that contract in a time where in less than a month, we're going to be closing a school or determining to close a school. We're going to be losing people through layoffs, and we're going to still have to figure out an almost $2 million fix of some sort. So for me personally, I have to vote no for this, and I am truly sorry. It's not something I take lightly.
Chad?
No.
Pam?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. That is 4 yeses, 2 noes, and 1 abstain. All right, motion passed. 18B number 2, please, if I can get a motion and a second, please, item number 2.
I'll motion to move staffing number 2.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Pam. All right. Questions or comments on this one?
Again, for me personally, for the similar reasons with Drew, I will not be able to vote for this with the fact that we have a budget coming on to us. It has nothing to do with this person individually. It has everything to do with our financial situation.
Okay, thank you. We'll go down this way this time. Chad?
No.
Kimmy?
Yes.
Yes. I'm a yes. Mike?
No.
Carnjet?
No.
And Pam?
Yes.
All right, so that is 3 yes and 4 noes. Motion fails. All right. 18B3. Again, motion and a second, please.
I'll motion to move staffing number 3.
All right, a second, please. Sorry.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. Questions, comments on this one? Carnjet?
No.
Mike?
No.
Yes for Hal. Kimmy? KBS?
Reasons no.
Nay.
And Pam?
Yes.
All right, motion fails. 3 to 4. All right, so now we will have a motion for 18B4 through 8.
I'll motion to move staffing 18B4 through 8 and children's disabilities.
All right, thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Questions, comments on any of this? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? So moved. Move on to 19B, warrants. Anyone have any questions or comments on any payroll warrants or check warrants? Any questions on 19C, budget transfer report, December 2025? All right, I would need a motion, please, for the revised organizational meeting minutes from July 14th, 25. A motion and a second on that to correct those, please.
I'll move to submit the revised July 14, 2025 organizational meeting minutes.
And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions or comments on this one? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, abstain, Pam abstains, thank you. Moving on to other business. Anyone have any questions or comments on the health and safety meeting, December 2025? All right, any other business that we'd like to talk about?
Question for Susan. in respect to the Reimagining Our Schools committees, when can we expect to work to begin meetings, get on the books for that?
I would certainly think that as soon as there's a decision about which school is potentially closing or being repurposed, which we need going into budget, groups could certainly be meeting now, but I know most of them have told me they're waiting for that
I know the
decision.
transitions team did meet last week and had a discussion for transitions. We're just waiting to see what our next step is on that one.
Any other business? All right, at this time, I'll open up the second hearing of privilege of the floor. Remind everybody we've set aside 30 minutes. If you'd like to address the board, just please give us your name and your address. And adhere to our 5-minute policy, please.
Very quickly, Jason McCoy, 1011 Cherokee Road. First of all, the main thing I just wanted to ask was about the Reimagining Our Schools website and why the Q&A stuff isn't being answered. There's a form there where we've been encouraged to ask questions. I asked a couple questions about the pre-K program that the superintendent has cryptically talked about for quite a while, and we haven't heard really much about. Neither of those questions, I asked them weeks ago. Neither of them were answered. My wife asked a couple questions weeks ago. On the top of it says you'll be answered within 48 hours, and I'm not sure why that's not happening, but I just wanted to mention. And the other thing I wanted to, I was looking through the board documents, and I see that Mr. J. Quinto will be retiring at the end of the year, and just wanted to thank him for all his years of service to the district. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Amy Marlette. I live at 506 Mohawk Avenue. I was really expecting a plan. I didn't get one because we don't have one. I have a question though. In all of the numbers that were shared tonight, we are taking and we're treating all 3 buildings equally when they're not equal. SAC is more classrooms than the other 2. No matter which one you close, it has more than Lincoln, Glenwarden, and Glendale. So why are we looking at it on a per building as opposed to a per classroom? So how many kids and how many classrooms can we have in SAC is different than the mirrored buildings of Glendale and Glenwarden. Those buildings only have so many classrooms and SAC has more. So just taking the kids, say we close Lincoln, and just saying half are going to this school, half are, this makes it so there's 300 in every school. No, that doesn't work that way. There's more kids in SAC. There's more room in SAC. We got to take into account of that, because in the one chart that the business official put up, he showed that like SAC and Glendale were going to have both 300-ish kids. SAC has 301 today. I mean, hey, you don't want to change it? That's fine. We didn't vote to go equitably anyway, so what matter? But there's don't screw the kids at Glendale and Glenwarden and have 25 kids in their classrooms just because we need 300 kids at SAC and 300 kids at Glendale. So by classroom.
Hi, Christina Stryjak. I reside at 114 Sealy Street, Scotia. This is Lily. She will be going to school in about 4 years at SAC. And one of the reasons I took the time to be on the Reimagining Committee was for her. And, of course, her 2 older brothers and sister. But we could make the change now so that when she goes to kindergarten, she sees a more equitable future at SAC, along with all the other schools in our district, if we made the change now and started making progression towards the future so that they have a consistent educational opportunity between all 3 elementaries. Right now, if you look at the, I was looking this afternoon at the projected real estate value of the houses in Glendale, considerably different than our other 3 districts, our other 3 buildings in our district. there's no denying that. If we merge Lincoln into Sacandaga, we're going to continue to have a problem of inequity. We're also going to have more students in that building, whereas another building will have still 12 kids per class when we have 25 in Lincoln right now, and 22 in one of my children's and 23 in the other at SAC. So we have a problem. The reimagining committee came up with a solution and it was denied. That's fine, but she's going to be affected and all the other children in the school district are going to be affected in the future, and we can make a change now. And I'm really disappointed that we haven't decided what we're going to do to make that change equitable, because that was the word that we talked about. Thank you.
Of the floor. And at this time, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? All right, so moved. Thank you, everybody.